Hello class, and welcome to Sociology, 320, Global Interdependence. I'll tell you right off the bat, it's a little odd for me to be teaching a sociology class. I'm a historian by training, but I think, being that this class is going to look at the state of the world today, that world has a history, and I think, that's kind of what I'll provide, kind of in my lectures, in my comments, is I'll get us to kind of where we are today. And then the readings will explore the dynamics of the present. So I think together my expertise and your expertises should hopefully match up quite nicely, and provide us a good foundation to have a nice informed debate going forward. This class, I think, was kind of designed with the intention of explaining how the world is all kind of mostly happily coming together. The last time that I taught this, which was 2 or 3 years ago, there was, maybe an assumption that globalization was the way of the future. That we were looking at a world that was coming closer and closer together, a world that was getting smaller, a world where borders were disappearing, and everyone was very anxious about what that meant. Then 2016 happened, and I had to redesign the entire course. So that's what we'll be doing. I think, that was in my mind when I redesigned the syllabus, is to explain kind of the road to Brexit, Donald Trump, Marine Le Pen over in France, kind of this very sudden, or maybe not that sudden, anti-globalist or nationalist impulse, where suddenly, borders and walls and those kind of things are coming back in fashion in a way that they haven't been in quite some time. We'll look at whether or not that's a good thing. Might as well say up front that it will be impossible to discuss this stuff without getting into modern politics. And I think my politics will be pretty clear, but you're not being graded based on my politics. You're not being graded based on your politics. You're being graded based on, the quality of the information and analysis that you bring to this class. And, so long as you can make and defend a point rationally, you will receive credit for doing so. So the fact that, I am no fan of this current administration will not impact your grades one way or another at all. You can be a very it is theoretically possible to be a well-spoken, well-researched Trumpist. It is certainly possible to be a liberal Democrat that's a very bad writer. So, and again, people will be judged accordingly based on that. So, with that kind of bit of disclaimer out of the way, let's kind of go through the syllabus, and I'll explain kind of where we're going with this class. So, draw your syllabus up on your screen or your other screen, as I have here, and we'll just kind of go through it. So, course description, course objective, I think we've already talked a little bit about that. Required textbooks, there aren't any. Again, we're discussing current events. I could make you pay for like an $80 book that's just like articles copy-paste out of the New York Times, but for that I can just link you to those pieces wherever they are for free. So I've done that. So everything that you need to read will be kind of through your computer. It's all linked through Blackboard already, so that should be fairly painless. There are a couple cases where I have you reading chapters out of a book, an ebook through the Sullivan Library. Those web links should also proceed through Blackboard. So you don't have to worry about buying a textbook. Just pay super close attention to the class page. Your grades. So, again, coming from the history field, I'm not super big on testing, particularly testing kind of didactic knowledge or kind of trivia knowledge. We have phones that connect to the internet that can look up anything for us. There's no need to quiz on trivia. What I'm more interested on is your ability to, as I already mentioned, present a point, argue that point, and use details and facts to back that point up. So your paper which will your independent component, which we'll talk a little bit more about, is worth 40% of your grade, because that's, I think, where you'll get the most kind of mental legwork. So of course that should be, that most of your grade should come from there. Everything else is worth 20% kind of each. I think, when I do get to teach in person, I'm a big fan of classroom discussion, having you guys kind of set into each other as much as possible. In lieu of that, we have the discussion boards. So each discussion boards, I've experimented with kind of putting a prompt on the boards, where kind of I ask a question and then ask the class to respond to that. And what that tends to get is, 15 people, if I'm lucky, giving kind of the same response to that question and not talking to each other at all. So how I've arranged the discussion boards is, very simply, in each board there's 2 threads. One space is just to ask questions about the reading, things that you didn't understand, just need clarification on. The second part is a space where you can post some kind of response to the reading, and even better, respond to each other. So, did you like it? Did you not like it? You can tell me why. Always have that there. But I think will make for a more interesting kind of flow to our discussion than asking specific prompts. So this is a less formal space. You don't have to cite your sources in there. You can speak a little bit more freely, let your hair down, as it were. When doing the end of unit assignments, and there's one of these at the end of each unit, that's a bit more formal. Contractions, cite your sources, complete sentences, proper punctuation, all that stuff. That's just to make sure that you are in fact kind of reading, engaging with, and getting the reading. We do have a midterm and a final on here. Those will ask kind of bigger, kind of more sweeping questions to see, what is your ability to put things together from kind of multiple topics and multiple units. The independent component, as I mentioned. This will be the biggest chunk of your grade. So I want you, this is a 300 level course. None of you are new at this, so I think I trust you a little bit to go and find a topic that's interesting to you. So I want you to go find me something that you can research and write about. A problem facing the world today. It could be global warming, it could be sexism on the internet, something that has an international component that isn't just tied to one country. I want you to find at least 3 sources that kind of delve into whatever this problem is, and based on your readings, I want you to tell me what a solution would be to this global problem. It should be 3 to 5 pages. It's never too early to start on this. It's due the Monday of the second to last week of the class. That'll be August 14th. Just to make sure that I have the time. I'm sorry, that's the Monday on the last week of class, August 14th. Just to make sure that I have the time to grade it. And then the class ends on August 17th. If you don't have, if you get sick, if you have a close family member that, gets hit by a bus or whatnot, I will, of course, grant extensions if given fair warning. But pretty much that August 17th date, that's a pretty sharp fall dead date. The class is over at that point. You need to have established a good reason for me to give you any more time beyond that. Other than that, the paper being due on the 14th, and the class ending on the 17th, there is... These online classes, they're designed for working people. They're designed for people that have other stuff going on in their schedule. So there aren't any other hard due dates beyond that. I think the class assumes that we'll go through 2 units per week. If you fall very much behind that, your life will be very difficult, and I would encourage you not to do that. But I'm not going to penalize you for not getting the Unit 1's assignment by Wednesday. Just make sure that you're keeping pace with the course, and if you are having a hard time keeping up, let me know. I'm here to help. I work for you. So that's all that. Academic honesty, don't plagiarize. Make sure that the work that you're giving me is yours. Make sure that you're not just copy-pasting wholesale from other things. I think pretty much every student I have failed at Dominican has violated this in some capacity. Don't be that person. That simple. You're in college students. You've seen academic honesty statements your entire career. You know what it is. You know what you're not supposed to do. I don't know if anyone's on campus. If you are, and actually I think the Learning Resource Center does have some remote capability. But again, if you're having a hard time with the reading, with coping with your work, there's no shame in reaching out to these people, particularly for your papers. I will grade on punctuation, grammar, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're not a strong writer, run it through the Writing Center. Have someone work with you, can peer review your paper, because why not? It's a free service that's provided to you. All right, and then from there we get into the course outline, so you can see what you'll be reading and what I'm asking you for each assignment. And I think this is all pretty straightforward, and mostly it's reading articles online. Sometimes I think that you're watching an episode of Anthony Bourdain's show on which airs on CNN. It's kind of exploring different cultures through food, which I think is an interesting way to get into Iran. That's Unit 4, where we're doing that. Got a webcomic in there. So again, it's not all completely dry stuff. Some of the things I have on here are longer. Reports presented to the UN. So if you see something where it's a 50, 60, 200 page document, don't read the whole thing. Skim. You read the introduction, the conclusion, the important findings. But yeah, don't go page by page through these disproportionately long things. Being able to read critically, to go in, get the kind of debone an article, if you will, kind of get the skeleton, the most critical parts out of it, and move on to the next thing. That's a hugely useful skill in college and in life. So this is an opportunity to put that into practice. Right. And I will have you. There you go. On week 8, that's when I want Unit 8, rather. Sorry. By the time you get to Unit 8, that's when I want to see your paper proposal and your sources. If you want to throw a little annotation on there, kind of 1 or 2 sentences explaining what the sources are that you found, that's it wouldn't be a bad idea. That I would appreciate that. But generally, make sure that these are credible sources, preferably coming out of academia or similar to the world of expertise. That these are people that know what they're talking about, and not if your source is like a Facebook meme page, that's not correct. So get that done by the time that you do Unit 8, and I think we'll have plenty of time to make sure that your papers are on the right track. Again, you can get that stuff in earlier. It's never too soon to start, and I'm very interested in having an ongoing conversation with you about that and any of your work. So, right, good luck. I think this is going to be an interesting class. Hopefully, we can get some good discussion going. Feel free to express yourselves freely, and I'm looking forward to working with you.